Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Major 4 begins later on today. So many phenomenal storylines, of course, coming into this event, but one of them being that the Los Angeles Thieves camp does not seem particularly happy with the setting that New York have provided behind the scenes this event. The warm-up rooms once again becoming a topic of contention. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. As I'm sure you guys can tell, I'm not in the normal setting. I'm on the road right now back down in Bath because my graduation is today as you guys are watching this video. I'm recording this the night before because the internet here is absolutely tragic on the guest Wi-Fi, so don't know what I'm going to do here for the next couple of days, but I'll try and make it work. But yeah, going to record this the night before. Hopefully nothing major happens, but still plenty to discuss in this one. The audio might not be great. Of course, the visuals aren't great. It's nighttime. I'm using my phone for the lighting. We're going to wing it, but hopefully you guys can accept that and still enjoy the content. Let's crack right on with things. First, I just wanted to mention the last and final call effectively to sign up for Fantasy. If you guys want to get involved, this is my team of 4. It might not be the greatest, but it's probably not the worst. Here we go with Cellium, Crimsix, Zero, and TJ. Teams that I think have a decent chance to make a run this tournament. Of course, always far from guaranteed with Call of Duty Vanguards. This I thought was kind of incredible here from the CDL. As you can see, the Champs pack has officially arrived. Like, the CDL is so, like, out of touch, it's unbelievable. In fairness, I suppose, the CDL didn't really... Well, you'd have thought they actually came up with this, but I'm pretty sure that's an MB40, and I think that's an STG, right? Or whatever variant this is. Like, didn't they do this before when they had the Champs pack on the XM4, a gun that was GA'd for ages and not even used? I don't understand why it's on the STG when the auto is the complete meta, right? Like, it just doesn't make any sense, the fact that they're going to introduce the Champs pack on a weapon that nobody actually uses in competitive play. So again, they've got it wrong, but I suppose fair play. At least they've released something. Now, speaking of the CDL, another thing they've been getting roasted for the last few hours here actually is with regard to the trophy that New York, of course, are trying to introduce for their event. We saw back at the Optic event in March that Optic didn't really come up with the trophy. I guess they were thinking the CDL might do it. Turns out that wasn't the case at all. And then we saw that Minnesota Rokkr came up with a nice shield. Toronto had a pretty cool thing going on there as well. And then the New York guys that came up with their idea proposed it to the CDL, and they say they rejected their trophy. Now, when New York come out and said that actually we're going to reveal it anyway to see what the community thinks. And here it is, right? So we've got a Statue of Liberty type thing with a skull coming out the middle. I honestly think this looks pretty cool, right? Major 4 tournaments. This is what the trophy looks like. And seems pretty standard stuff. But for whatever reason, the CDL thought this was somehow too gruesome, right? Even as the flags say boo at the coddling while gruesome trophy, scary stuff, right, guys? And then even as Chrome kind of points out right here, the league said this trophy was too gruesome to be shown on broadcast, right? Like, look, do they not understand what game we play here? It's a Call of Duty league. It's a Call of Duty tournament. With if you shoot someone in the leg in this game, their entire body gets blown in half sometimes. And apparently this is too gruesome, so I don't really understand. But I'm guessing they're going to probably use this anyway, right? Because the community is saying, well, look, it looks pretty cool. It's fine. We play an 18+ game. That is literally what the league is based around. So what's the problem with this? Probably they're going to accept it anyway. Obviously, New York went to the effort to make this very cool looking trophy, so probably it's what's going to be given to the winner at the end of the weekend. Will it, of course, be the home champions? Certainly New York are hoping that will exactly be the case. This is a look at the venue, actually. This looks phenomenal. The King's Theatre here in New York. Pretty sure, like, the chances to get tickets are probably now over, but you guys might still be able to get them if you're nearby the venue trying to get there sometime this weekend. I mean, look at this venue, right? We've got the main stage, we've got the crowds, we've got, I mean, this beautiful theatre. It's honestly a spectacular looking venue, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this looks on the mainstream and all this type of stuff as well, if Esports Engine and the guys do a good job at putting it all together. Now, speaking of what's going on with some of these teams right now, so firstly, Dominate from the London Royal Ravens side. Some sort of accident or injury that he's had, meaning that he's not actually going to be at the major hour. It's a pretty big deal for them because Dominate, I think they, respect him a lot and what he does as a coach of the team. And I think they will feel that without Dominate, it's a pretty big loss to their roster, right? But actually, Cam Allen, their analyst for quite some time, like, great guy as well. Great to see him getting out there. So he's on the plane out to New York to get the job done. But he's going to be watching from home, as it seems is Shane from Los Angeles Thieves. So big talking point really about Thieves this weekend because they're still not guaranteed to go through to the World Championship. I think they're right now on 150 points, which should be enough if they win just one series. And if they lose to FaZe today, as you guys are watching this video, they will then play Paris on Friday, which should be a guaranteed victory, to which point they'd be at 160, and therefore, like, they should be okay. But it's still not completely certified if all the other teams win, if the likes of, New York win and the other teams as well. Like, the Thieves could still be out of contention if things don't go their way, but they'd probably have to lose to Paris for that to be possible. But look, Donny Temp against Kenny might be coming for blood against his former team on land. And it might not be helped at all by a couple of different things. So Shane, of course, was brought on as kind of like a coach to JCap, an assistant coach to JCap very recently. And then it was kind of funny really when Shane joined the squad and they got kind of good at search and destroy, that they were giving so much gas to Shane, right? The likes of Octane and other players were saying that, wow, Shane's the man, he's really turned around our culture, really helped us win these kind of tight series. And JCap was probably sitting there thinking, hang on a second, lads, can you not give me some credit as well. But Shane has been getting a lot of gas, and he's not going to be there, right? Visa delays or whatever. He's going to be stuck home in what is a very sunny old England at the present time, watching the chaos unfold from home. So that could be a pretty big deal if Shane isn't there in person, because it does seem like if you guys have watched their kind of listening to stuff with Los Angeles Thieves when they are in tournament events, I'm pretty sure last time out in Major 3, Shane was the one giving them the hype speeches, right? I think they played Opti or something, and he was giving them the kind of hype speech, the hype factor, just being like, look guys, we got this, we're going to send these guys home in front of their crowds. And it seemed to be a big difference maker for Thieves as a roster, because Jacob doesn't really bring that element to the team, right? So I think this will be a big loss actually, not having Shane here for Thieves this upcoming weekend. And not just that, but also they seem to have been, at least from the eyes of Mudog, in that one of the most frustrated teams by what is going on behind the scenes with the team rooms right now. So back in Arlington, Texas at the Optic event in March, this wasn't a massive discussion, but the fact of the matter was that Optic got like the massive team room in kind of the event rooms that they have behind the scenes at the stadium, and then the other teams got kind of relatively smaller team rooms. But I think when they went to the Minnesota event, there was a bit of controversy about the fact that a lot of the teams were effectively stuck in the same room, and there were like 4 in the same room separated by a curtain. So if you're trying to practice and warm up and prepare and talk vetoes and strategies for teams you might be playing against, they might be on the other side of the curtain, right? So you might have to like keep your voices shut, and it's not really an ideal situation. Now, fact of the matter is, are you really going to get an event that's going to have 12 good-sized rooms to let all the teams have their own personal space? Like, it's going to be kind of hard to do at all venues. Now, yes, it should be, I suppose, a priority, but still, it's not necessarily going to be a thing absolutely everywhere. And as Modok says, somehow each CDL event just keeps on getting worse and worse with smaller and smaller team rooms. I'm about to lose it, he says. I'm pretty sure saying, and even as Pentagram kind of implies here in the replies, that everyone is effectively right together, right? Everyone's on each other. There's loads of teams in the same room together. And as Modok says, lucky for you, you don't have to come to the scrim room because they don't have room for anyone besides the players and one coach. Assistant coaches are chalked, never mind me or you, right? So that's kind of crazy saying that the room is so tightly packed in there that if you want to scrim, like there's just all players in there and maybe one coach can fit in, no assistant coaches or, never mind a substitute player or a kind of general manager because the rooms are just so small. So it does seem like Thieves are getting kind of frustrated about this and whether that's going to affect kind of what they're thinking through the rest of the weekend, because I know a lot of teams got frustrated about this back in previous events. I think actually it was back at the Major 3 in Toronto where they kind of had these effectively locker rooms, right, that the teams were using. And this was, it's kind of a scuffed setup, but it gets the job done, right? The teams can set up in the locker rooms here and effectively have a locker room each. But apparently that's not really a possibility at this New York event, which might make sense because the venues in New York are going to be probably more kind of space constricted than other cities. And therefore they are trying to work around what they can possibly do. But yeah, still not an ideal setting at all. Thieves do not seem particularly happy with it. I'll see if we'll get, other complaints from other teams as time progresses here as well, because they're trying to warm up, they're trying to prepare, they're trying to get ready for matches, and yet they probably feel like they don't have quite the space of themselves as a team. Of course, like, every team is in a similar boat in that sense, but I do remember, as I said, back in the Arlington, Texas event, at Optic's home event, they gave themselves the good room. Whether New York are doing the same thing here, I suppose, is a question that remains to be seen over the coming days. Speaking of New York, big discussion earlier today, of course, or I think it was yesterday's video actually, as to what exactly is going on in the New York camp at the present time. Clayster getting over from Boston to the New York event just in case he needed to sub in for the starting team, and even saying this, CDL servers feel nice. Kind of, I think, more bait tweets really here from Clayster, but saying that he was on the servers, having a good time, trying to prepare for these matches, and, potentially that he might have to play for New York if HyDra's test didn't come back negative, and apparently that is not a concern any longer. PaulX tweets out right here, no need to fear New York, let's make this run. So HyDra's here. Now look, whether this is implying that HyDra's good to go or tested negative, or maybe that's not even required, right? Some of you guys were kind of commenting that, or like whatever the local rules might happen to be. So anyway, seems to be good news for New York. Seems like HyDra can play. Like PaulX does seem very confident that yes, indeed, this team of 4 will be the team turning up to try and make a run this tournament. They of course play a massive game against the Minnesota Rokkr. Like, it's literally a must win for them. If they lose that series, their run is probably chalked, because even if they somehow did make the losers run, they give Rokkr 20 points by giving them top 6 if they were to beat New York today. So that of course is a big deal. But with their full roster, I feel like it's still possible that they make this happen, right? The bracket actually is kind of lined up in their favor. Now, speaking of Clay, of course, he's got to prepare for the last chance qualifier in North America to try and qualify for the Challengers Champs rather soon. And he's actually made a bit of a team change. Prestinni has been the 4th man to join fellow Venom. And of course, well, like Clayster himself, there was some talk about Capstone maybe, but a Capstone kind of nowhere to be seen for now. ProLuke, Dave Paddy, DiamondCon and Royalty, that's also a team of 4. So yeah, these potentially 2 team of 4s going into the LCQ. The funny thing about it is that Crone tweeted this out apparently before Clay even knew what was going on. As he says, wake up at 6 AM for an early fight, knockout, got Crone intel tweeting my team before I even know it. So apparently Clay had picked up this guy, or his team had picked up this guy without Clayster even being aware. So that's kind of funny if that turns out to be the case actually, that Prestinni Prestinni is joining the team, of course. Like, Clay and Prestinni, former teammates, World Championship winners, alongside each other on the E-United squad back in the day, so it makes a fair bit of sense. I like that kind of team on paper, to be honest. Whether they have enough firepower, I suppose, to actually win the LCQ and get to the Challengers Champs, that does remain to be seen. A couple of things to mention here as we get into today's matches. Cellium versus Los Angeles Thieves, of course, going to be a big talking point. Simp generally has an incredible record whenever he plays Kenny, and we'll see if that continues today. Apparently, Celly is playing on a 10-6 sense. 10 horizontal, 6 vertical, which is just mind-blowing to me if that's even possible. I have no idea what he's doing here, but maybe this is a secret to success in this game. He gets weirder every time. I see him here, does indeed say Prestinni, and just as kind of we get into the matches for today, these are the odds right now of the tournament. FaZe, rather clear favourites, I think does make sense. Subliners, second favourites in this tourney, I think largely helped probably by the bracket they have. Then Ravens, then Ultra, Breach, Minnesota, Rokkr, LA Thieves, of course, like all the teams and winners, Florida Mutineers, and then out of all the teams and losers, the favourite there is Optic, Seattle Surge, Guerrillas, and then Paris at 500 to 1. So pretty interesting to see that New York here are pretty much favoured to get, to make the grand finals, which would be good enough with the other results probably going in their favour to qualify for the World Championship. So we'll see how things go, of course. This is kind of the bracket that myself and Chrome put together. We didn't want to pick all favourites. There's a few things I might go back and change if I was just doing this by myself. Like, we have Paris beating Thieves, somehow getting double first rounding them. But I do feel like just FaZe in New York, like that final is very much on the cards right now. I feel like a lot of people are thinking this might well be the case. If it is, I'd love to see it. Also feel like Toronto might be the team to go through winners here, but I suppose we shall see how it goes. This is the way the point standings currently sit, so there's pretty much, I would say, 5 teams, Boston and above, that are probably safe for the World Championship. Anything else is still possibly up for grabs, because if New York win, they get to 175, just to kind of put that into perspective, right? But it is still all to play for down here, and these then are the games for today. London Royal Ravens versus the Toronto Ultra. Tough one to call. I feel like 0 versus Bance. Generally, 0 has a great record against Bance, so I'm going to take 0 in the London guys to get the job done, but I think this is a close series. If it goes game 5, I kind of want to favour Ultra, but I think I'm going to just about take 3-1 London. Do need them to prove that they're not just an onliner team, so I feel like this is their tournament to prove exactly that. Boston, honestly, I think will just outclass Florida so hard in the respawns. Potentially, if it goes game 5, Florida could get the job done, but I feel like Boston are too strong in the respawns right now. Florida's is so questionable that, again, probably a 3-1 fashion. You know the vibe. Minnesota versus Subliners, right? I mean, a very similar story. Again, it's a disparity in the respawn game modes. I think that New York, like, they have so much to prove here in front of their home crowds. I do think that they deliver the goods in this series. I certainly, hope they do it for the storylines through the rest of the tourney. Minnesota in 5 is a possibility, but again, I'm going to take them 3-1. And then FaZe versus Thieves. I want to see Thieves put up a fight, right? I think this could have a game 5 on the cards potentially, but FaZe are generally just too good, and so is their Search and Destroy. I feel like LA Thieves can definitely take a respawn here, so I think I'm actually going to take this one to be a 5-map series that FaZe managed to close out in the end. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. As I say, apologies for the bit of a scuffed setup today on the laptop or whatever, but we're going to make it work for the next couple of days. Then I'll be back home on Friday afternoon going into Saturday. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.